everyone. Welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we are going to introduce you to a revolutionary new product and a revolutionary partnership to make that product. My guests are Brian Stewart, an engineer, and Whitney Lester from Versability. So I just recently read this in the paper. You have developed this cool new product that will help me keep ice on my injury for the amount of time I'm supposed to, right?
That's correct.
Well, who never thought of that before?
So I wish I could answer that for you. For as long as I can remember, the protocol for any kind of injury has been RICE. It's rest, ice, compression, elevation. Mm-hmm. People would put bags of ice on an injury. There's of course a lot of problems with that. It's very uncomfortable, and it can be in some situations a little bit hazardous. But people do it anyway. The problem that I saw was I was watching my daughter who played soccer and her teammates. And if you watch carefully, you'll see the athletic trainer will put the ice on the injury. And about 5 minutes later, you look back and the ice bag will be in the grass.
Because that's when it gets too cold.
It gets too cold, it gets uncomfortable. And if you actually read the medical protocol, that's kind of what you're told to do anyway. You put the ice on. You go through several phases. It's called CBAN. It's cold, burning, aching, and numbness. Mm-hmm. So you progress all the way through all that miserable stuff, and when it finally goes numb and it quits hurting, they tell you to take it off. And then you get to go do it all over again. Over again. So consequently, a lot of people, especially adolescents, they don't comply with the therapy. And in the field, they're generally getting ice, but they're not always getting compression as well, because they just don't have the...
Right, you're just sort of holding it there.
They just don't have what they need in the field. They'll put ice bag on it and wrap it with Flexi Wrap and send you on your merry way. And you'll even see college football players coming out. One of the athletic trainers at William & Mary remarked to me that the players coming out of the games look like, they look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man when they come out, because they're all wrapped up with bags of ice and everything. But they're not getting all the complete therapy, and they're not applying it for long enough. So you're doing it 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. It's hard to get the actual therapy, which the therapy is to cool your deep tissue, to cool your muscle down. That's really what you're trying to do.
And instead, we're just getting as far as the skin, and then it's miserable, so we take it off, and it hasn't gotten down there.
So this material that I created, and this first product from the material, has a couple of properties, but one of them is thermal management or thermal regulation. So this particular version will keep your skin from getting lower than 43 degrees during the therapy. Ice is about 32, and you wouldn't think that 11 degrees would make that much difference, but it is huge.
No, it would. I mean, I know that I sometimes have back pain, and I was trying to put ice on it, and then so you like put a shirt or a blanket in between, and then it doesn't get through, and then all of a sudden, again, too much gets through, or that's just brilliant.
So this actually does regulate the temperature. The other thing it does is it's very, very soft and very flexible.
Here.
So yeah, we'll demo on you here. So you can actually wrap it on the applied, on the injured area beforehand.
So you put it down first.
You put it down first. You can put it down either side. It doesn't really matter, but the textured side actually lets it breathe a little better.
Okay.
And this is a neat thing. You cannot do this with any other product that we found on the market. Is say you have an injury right there, and you really want to put a lot of compression right in that one area. You can actually put it really tight locally there, and then leave it loose on the backside. And then do it really tight there locally again.
Oh, you're kidding.
No,
you can't do that.
You can't do that with anything else. So you could do it all the way around, so you've got a lot of compression right there.
Sticks.
You've got a lot of compression right there, but you don't cut off the circulation to your whole hand. So you can actually put really aggressive compression right where you need it in a safe manner. So then you just keep going, and this is another feature. My wife actually came up with this, is when you get to the end, let me wrap it a little bit tighter here. When you get to the end, you just tuck it under there, no pins, no clips, no anything, and it stays put. So it sticks to itself really, really well. And then you would right here, this is the injured area, you'd go ahead and put the ice on it like you normally would. And if you're an athletic trainer, you then whip out the roll of Flexi Wrap and you wrap it up like you normally would.
To hold the ice on.
So it's kind of a drop-in item that integrates right into what people are already doing. So that was the idea behind this, was to make it as simple and straightforward to apply as possible.
That is so cool.
So the physics of what's going on inside there, really complicated. The actual product made it simple.
So your background, you're a NASA engineer.
That's correct.
But you did this at home on your time. But materials science is part of your...
Material science is actually my background. Material science and engineering are my backgrounds.
So you tested to get the right composite.
That's
for
right.
this.
So it's actually a medical grade elastomer with other compounds in it that create the temperature regulation properties. So it's basically a
cool.
rubber with a powder in it, is for lack of a better way to put it.
That's dumbing it down
Yeah.
for people like me. So you have this fantastic idea. You have played with the material enough to know that it's gonna work. But as an entrepreneur and a startup, what happens next?
That's-
Like, how do you get to here? How
Yeah.
do you get to?
How do you get from the idea to something you can actually put out
that's
in
so
market?
many people's biggest.
It's really hard.
hurdle.
It's really hard to do. So the first thing you do is you pick a product. In my case, I picked a product that I believed there was a really straightforward path to commercializing it.
Yes.
So I know the materials, I know the elastomer, I know the powders, I know how to handle those kinds of things, and I know how you go from the laboratory scale in general to the manufacturing scale. So it's been done before.
Okay.
How do you do it with this particular product is the detail part. So the devil always is in the details. So you have to go through this prototyping step. And making it is one thing, making it affordable is a totally different problem. So I could make it if people want to spend $100 for it. It's easy to make something like that. It's harder to make something that people actually buy. So that requires prototyping and iteration. So there's unknown number of iterations to get from your idea to an actual product. And that's the problem for startups like me, is you don't know when you're going to stop spending money on your prototyping. So had I gone to a conventional machine shop for my tooling, and then I'd had to rent space to do the formulation and the trial runs and all of the process development, I had no idea how much that was going to cost. But I know the cost of a single iteration through a machine shop would have probably limited me to two or three passes.
So you might
And
have
then
had to
I'm out of
stop
money.
before you were really
Yeah.
where you needed to be.
So it's a huge risk area for startups because you don't know when you're going to be done. You know, so the old Dennis the Menace cartoon. I don't know what it is because I'm not done yet. So it's really a risk area for us, and it really is a barrier to getting a lot of physical products out there. So then, two people, Mike Askowski from the Hampton Economic Development Authority, and Daniel Morris, who is the director at the incubator, reactor incubator at Hampton, both referred me to Versability, and both with the same message: you got to go see these guys, you really do. And so I went out to one of their world famous breakfasts and met them, met Whitney, met the rest of the management team out there. And then they walked us around the facility, and I saw an amazing facility. It was upbeat, energetic, had so much good going on. And then I got to the part where the gentleman was there with Randy Willoughby, who was there with the CNC machine and was doing the prototyping work there. And I talked with him for a couple of minutes, and I left out of there. I have got to talk to these guys further. So a few weeks later, I actually developed a presentation for them, went and pitched them on the idea of partnering with us on this product. And the deal basically boiled down to two things initially. It would increase their skill set for working with entrepreneurs like me. So there were certain things, they had not worked with metals on their prototyping area. Metals are very different between plastics and woods. I needed metal molds or metal tools.
Okay.
So they developed skill sets to handle that kind of stuff. They also learned how to process this type of material. They had other experience with other products, but this was a little bit different product. So this stuff, when it starts, it's goo. There's no other way to put it.
That makes sense.
So it's very messy. It can be very messy. And we only had one or two messy incidents, but
Well, so
we cleaned up.
people may not know what Versability is. I know they've been on the show and we've talked to them, but it's been a while. It is a company that employs people,
We're a
lot
nonprofit,
of people, but it's different.
Yes, we are. We're a nonprofit serving people with disabilities and have been for 65 years. We do it in a variety of ways, but where I come in overseeing business development is finding and creating jobs for people with disabilities. So we do this. We have over 1,000 employees now, more than half of whom are people with disabilities. And so we do it, government contracts, commercial contracts, people getting placed out in the field. But we do a lot of work at our place in Hampton, and we have a 100,000 square foot facility there, a lot of which is warehouse, and we have tours going on all the time, and we like to demonstrate what we've been able to do. So we've worked with companies large and small. We've started working a lot with entrepreneurs. With entrepreneurs, they often have needs that we can help fulfill. They don't have a labor force. We've got that. We have about 100 people with disabilities that come every day. We can stand up or down on a particular job, and that helps a startup. Brian's not hiring his team yet, so and
Right.
when he does, I hope it's us. But but for now, we have space. We have equipment, we've got very smart people there, and we've got a team of wonderful people with disabilities doing jobs every day that can jump right in and fulfill this need. So he came, he came and saw, we have a clean room on site where a company called Soluble Systems have been manufacturing a wound care product. We have an array of entrepreneurs coming and going and working with us as they need, as it serves them, and we love getting in on the ground floor because our currency is jobs. The amount of work for people with disabilities, jobs that they didn't have before, opportunities that haven't been given. So it's really a great partnership for us because we see the value in Brian and his product, and we say the sky's the limit. We can create as many jobs as the amount that he's selling out there. So we're helping him create the product. We're doing packaging. We can do some order fulfillment for him. If we think it up, we feel like we can do it.
It's so cool the way it all dovetails together, because otherwise you would have to hire somebody to do this, pay market cost for it, or that you wouldn't be able to ramp up the way you need to. You'd have so much sunk in at the beginning. And you guys are in it, hopefully, for the long term. It's not just about the immediate profit or the immediate cost, because you can flex.
We've forged relationships with entrepreneurs. Brian is really one of our where we see a lot of future potential to continue to work. We believe in his product, we believe in him, and truly, if as we look forward to the future, we see dozens of jobs coming out of this, and that's music to our ears as we. So
and those are local folks.
These are people
in our community.
Hampton Roads residents. Perhaps people have been deprived of opportunities in the past, and they can come to work and achieve the dignity of work that we provide on a daily basis. And so these partnerships are very valuable to us. We've had local universities and innovation centers funnel people our way and say, go talk to Versability.
Yeah, as you said, the Reactor, the Economic Development Authority, everybody working together. So what's next? How do you begin to market this? How does sales happen?
We did what we call a soft product launch back in May. They are working a pilot production run with us, so we're shaking the wrinkles out of the sales, as it were, for production, figuring out where the bottlenecks are. So we are ready for full-up commercialization. Frog Skin is the product name and the brand, and so we are actually working on raising a seed round right now to actually scale up the manufacturing operation, and that manufacturing scale-up starts at Versability, so without a doubt. As a business person, a startup and a business person, I've talked a lot about the good business case with working with Versability, which it is. It's an excellent business model. There's more to it, though, too. If you actually look at their mission behind the business case, it's actually just icing on the cake to be able to do that kind of thing with a group like that. People with disabilities, in my opinion, is one of the most underutilized labor forces in the country. And if you look at the unemployment rates for people with disabilities, it's staggering. And so being able to contribute to creating jobs for people with disabilities and giving them, as Whitney said, the dignity of work, it's an amazing thing. And that's what you see when you go out there. You see people who are happy to be there and working and engaged every single day. And it's just a great thing to be able to participate in. Business aside, it's just great from that standpoint.
Well, and you're helping people heal.
Yes, yeah.
So there's health benefits, there's job benefits. How do you get to market? Do you market to athletic trainers and people in the field? Are you going to be in stores? Like that, the sales part can be a big hurdle for a new
sales and
business.
marketing is a big thing. So right now we have tested 2 sales channels so far. One is direct online sales. So we do have a web store. We have sold product all the way from Ottawa, Canada to Auckland, New Zealand. So sales are modest because we're not driving a whole lot of traffic to the store right now until we scale up. But we are getting good results with that. And we're getting good return what they call closure rates on sales. So the ratio of people that visit the store versus the ratio of people that buy is actually a little bit above industry average. So we're liking those kind of numbers. So that's good. So we're getting good traction on the online, direct online sales. The other area we have experimented with is direct sales at events. So these are public events, sports tournaments.
Crawling crab run.
Yeah, we went to we were at the
that.
Heart of Ghent last weekend.
That's, very
so those
smart.
type of events, and we're actually looking for the adolescent youth market. That's one of the reasons this is what inspired this whole thing was better care really for adolescent athletes. So we've engaged very much with volleyball. We caught the tail end of the volleyball tournament circuit last May and went up to Richmond at a regional tournament. It's a national qualifier tournament. So there was about 9,000 feet in the building, and we had a great weekend up there. So our conversion rates there were actually very, very good. So we're getting a lot of traction with the youth market. And you got to keep in mind with the young people, the kids are the users, but the buyers are the parents. So you actually have to work on both of those. And so there is a small educational component to this. That's a challenge for any kind of product, is you have to teach people how it benefits them.
Right.
And so getting over that hurdle is the big thing. So also for marketing, we're looking at some digital marketing, standard techniques, videos, that kind of thing. So then we're moving out to other channels. There's direct sales to medical providers. So these would be physical therapists, podiatrists, people like that, for them to offer to their patients. There's also opportunities for them to utilize it in their practice. Then there's actual distribution channels like through stores like Walgreens and CVS. That requires a lot more capital to actually spin up.
Yeah, I
so
bet.
so we're kind of sneaking up on the different market segments and sales channels as we go along.
Well, exciting. Really very exciting. And congratulations.
Thank
This
you.
is a wonderful thing. So we need to wrap up, but is there anything that either of you want to add to the discussion before we close? Something I've forgotten to ask you? No, we're good. We covered it. That's
I would
good.
just invite entrepreneurs of all shapes and sizes to come talk to us. It's where a conversation can begin that could lead to another beautiful partnership like ours with Brian and Frogskin.
And if it hurts, look us up. It's frog-skin.com, and that's where to find out about us online. We've got some information there, and you can buy directly at the website. And we hope to help as many people as we can, both injured people and folks with disabilities as well.
You know, I was just thinking, though, there are so many things that used to be hurdles to getting something like this to market, because if you didn't have the direct sales, if you didn't have the internet, if you didn't have that sort of digital word of mouth, and it would have been very hard for you to get to your Walgreens, Target, that kind of, that hurdle would be incredible.
The barrier would be huge.
But this allows you to build through word of mouth, and then you to begin to staff up and keep up with demand.
There's other things too. The region is really starting to diversify quite a bit and sees a lot of value. The collective communities see a lot of value in startups, and especially technology-based startups. So
I know Hampton's been working very hard.
Hampton has been working very hard. They support the reactor financially and otherwise. They also support things like Start Peninsula. This was first pitched at a Start Peninsula event.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
I was going to ask, and then I thought, well, the answer is
no. I decided to move forward with this a week before Start Peninsula. So a week before the event, I got in my information and pulled together a pitch deck, and actually took third place in the one it was in November 2015. Launched the company a few months later and started working on formulation. So Start Peninsula was kind of one of the catalysts. Hampton, Newport News, York County, Poquoson, James City County. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but they all participate, and the whole area participates in Start Peninsula. And then there's also other things starting to come along. We just won an award from the Hampton Roads Innovation Collaborative, which is a replacement for the Hampton Roads Technology Council that was around for quite some time. And there's also other avenues. We also won a Sports Medicine Technology Award through orthopedics this week. That's a
That will
that's
help
a thing.
a lot
That's
toward
a thing
that
that's actually
professional
that's
market.
actually judged by orthopedic surgeons. So
Yeah,
that was kind of a
that's
big deal.
big.
So traction from the professional community, awards and accolades are always nice, and then also tangible market traction is the things that we're shooting for here.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
both of you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you will take a look at this. This is an innovative project that can help people heal, especially youth, but all of us, help heal, help provide jobs, and boost the area's economy potentially. What a great product. Thanks for watching.